Welcome everyone back for the AEL playoffs brought to you by Chatime. I am JrTins and I'm joined today by Fesh, and we'll be taking you through this upper bracket final. Winner will find themselves a place in the grand final. Loser will have to battle through the winner of the lowest bracket to verse. And how you looking at today's matches?
I'm kind of excited, honestly. I did miss, unfortunately, the last couple of games. It's been very interesting, and you were very keen to talk about some of them, because I don't know if we're exactly in the spot we kind of expected to be maybe a couple of weeks ago with our upper bracket final. But it's going to be interesting because it really is a pretty big stakes in these games, and I'm not entirely sure who I favor over these two, because I think the teams I kind of expected to be the big stars may not be here. But there's certainly some good narratives to be had if we want to dive into those.
Yeah, that last match was definitely one to watch. I'll bring up the brackets now. Is that RMIT Red versus Swinburne Black did not go in the way we thought, and not only was it a close series, it was a 4-1 here for RMIT Red. So they definitely surprised us, made their way through the upper bracket, made their job easier, and can they make it even better for them in terms of getting into that grand final, not having to pull off a bracket reset? Meanwhile, Swinburne Black in a position we didn't think they'd be in.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're not even, they're all the way down in that lower bracket. I can't believe it. That 4-1 is just ridiculous. They have to be fair, I mean, it's kind of weird to say, actually. I was going to say that I kind of favor them, in the lower bracket. Oh, they're going to walk through it. They should be the ones to make it back to the grand final. But I kind of thought about that in the upper bracket as well. So I just really don't know what to make of these guys. But the opponents they're up against, I don't really think anyone's expecting them to be knocked out. I think the next match is UCID Rocklog, and whilst I do have a lot of faith in this team, seeing them play elsewhere, they've shown some good skills. Surely they don't play as well as Swinburne Black, but I don't know at this point. It's going to be a very exciting match. However, this is the upper bracket finals to see who does take on the team who can make that big lower bracket run, which we always enjoy seeing. And it is between these two teams. My bracket just shrunk a whole bunch, and I'm very, very sad. It's UniSA beating Lethal and RMIT Red.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting if RMIT can keep up how they played last week. Maybe they found the secret formula that they needed to make it through, but UniSA definitely not a team to be reckoned with. They've played really well so far in this tournament. They did take it to Game 7 against the Boomers, but I think that was justified. New Boomers are definitely a team to watch out for, so I think we're in for a really good series here. But before we get in, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Chatime. Definitely go pick up yourself a refreshing beverages for those long gaming sessions. Rig headsets, get the upper edge. With being able to hear footsteps, being able to hear everything can really help at the end of the day. It's the little things all put together that really make your gaming experience better. Indomie instant ready noodles, yet again, long hours. You need that 5-minute quick ready noodles, migoring, all that. Get on it, definitely really good. And then AOC monitors, the refresh rates, the hertz, definitely what you need. And I got to be honest, I've got a 165 hertz and I've got a 244, and upgrading from a 60 or 75, absolutely amazing. So would recommend their monitors. That being said though, players are in the lobby. I reckon we tell them that we're ready to go and we can get started, as I'm very excited to see how this best of 7 will turn out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, RMIT Red, they've kind of got that upset factor behind them. I kind of would have put potentially University of Newcastle up in this grand final as well. UniSA beating them, and it's just gonna be so interesting. I mean, if you drop down from this, you still have more games to play in the lower bracket, but I don't like your odds given some of the teams down there. But let us have a look at these two teams, both hard fought their way here. Of course, we're gonna have UniSA in the blue and RMIT in the orange, and this is gonna be one hell of a series.
And I gotta say, already rocking out with the Batmobile from Delusion. I do love it. I know Delusion played the Batmobile a while ago. That kind of old school car you don't see too often, but that being said, I am definitely keen. I've seen a lot of UniSA beating Lethal, and in my eyes, a lot of people thought it was Lethal's team, but I really think it's the beating Lethal's team. I've watched them. They look composed. They look like they all know what they're doing. That was until I saw RMIT Red last week for the for the first time, as they just looked so on the same page, really brought the team into team chemistry to bring them over the line. And I'm really hoping we can see that. I'm really hoping they can bring back that level of play that we saw before and really look to play with that confidence that they definitely can take it all the way.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, we can see, but we know both these teams know how to play a full series, really kind of pull those ones out. Mandaria almost got a very nice playoff there, beat out Morse, and had to sort of really put pressure on that defense. There's only one player back, and Nosk managed to punish that. Really good job from the defense to manage to keep a couple of players back, but they just couldn't quite get those quick rotates. And Nosk with a very keen punish. I really, really like this from RMIT Red, especially going up, you know, getting that sort of first foothold in the series.
Yeah, well, you saw that first player actually went for the demo as well, and that's one thing that worked well for them is being disruptive, going for the physicality. That really, I believe, in the end, is what brought them over the line against that Swinburne team. So good to see that already making a defense here. And also Delusion just not really getting a close touch there, hitting the ball a little bit too far away. So that is a very good punishment from RMIT.
Yeah, and they're straight back on the aggression as well. I really like this. Delusion doing well to kind of hold onto the ball, has to beat out Nosk. Does quite nicely, but doesn't find that pass off to anyone. Actually, never mind, sort of pass to yourself. Keeps it off in Morse's hands, but yeah, they're looking a little bit defensive here, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe that's just not the opportunity. Mandaria with the fake on the last person in net, and I got no words for that. That is a beautiful time fake. A lot of pressure there to go for it in the goal square, but does it very nicely.
Yeah, and there were sort of 3 players there, but like it felt like they all thought they had those sort of options covered and things, and it's like a tiny little lapse of communication. You talked about RMIT Red bringing in this, like, yeah, putting the team in team play. Well, they've got the individual play off that one, but it is also going to be, that's going to be the name of the game. It's going to be whether or not I think UniSA can kind of match that. As Mandaria goes up for another one. Mandaria playing really good, like offensive games and putting on that pressure quite nicely. Delusion with a nice setup. But once again, can't get past Nosk. Mandaria getting a demo there, so a 2v3 for a little bit, but they haven't really found a clear just yet.
Yeah, not really been able to make anything look on target here, just playing into the corners. When you're on defense and the ball's in the corner, you know it's in a safe spot. Delusion trying to go for the fake, couldn't get that. And speaking of Mandaria as well, I gotta say, pulled off some amazing clutch goals, including one to Force OT. I believe that was a triple touch off the backboard. So Mandaria are definitely a player to watch, as they can definitely pull off those solo plays and just really make something out of nothing, which you always need one of those players on your team.
Yeah, that was, yeah, I mean, it's nice to have, just having a player who can just solo the entire opposing team. Morse tries to go for a big play there, but kind of gets called out a little bit. Backtrack Jack, couldn't quite get a connection onto that. And I mean, we always say it, and my like goal for this game was going to be, this series was going to be, don't say that teams sometimes need a bit of time to warm up. We are seeing kind of a slower paced game, and that is why, right? But Morse currently going on the attack. Backtrack Jack did a really good job of getting that knock out of the way, and they managed to just kind of roll it over because the defense is so busy being pressured by that extra player.
If you've heard me cast before, I always say, and it's actively thinking on the play, and it's one thing I do love to see as a caster. Backtrack Jack, knowing what can I do in this situation, sees one person in net, sees a teammate rolling the ball straight in the net. What better thing to do than go for a demo? That is an amazing play there, heads up. And look, I wish at least an assist or a goal should go in favor of Backtrack Jack there, because that is a great play to set that up. And Mandaria trying to set up one here as well, as Buddy looking to finish that one off. Couldn't quite. Delusion will play it to the corner.
There we go. I mean, we could always just ask the AEL stats guys. Come on, if you're listening, you've got to put that one up as an assist. I don't care what the game says. Backtrack Jack trying to get a clearance out, and actually doing a decent job of controlling that one with the help of Morse, and it feels like their teamwork is a little bit better here, but there's only one player left in the goal. There's Delusion, plenty of time to get that, like Buddy's attempt, but yeah, no goal made just there.
Yeah, and it seems like giving away possession here is what UniSA are doing a lot, which is not what I'm usually used to seeing. They're a good team in terms of they keep the ball close. They make sure when they give up the possession, they're giving it away to a player. Not seeing too much out of that, and I think that's all a credit to the offense. RMIT doing a really good job of keeping that pressure, making them feel that if they finally get a touch, they just want to get the ball as far out as possible. And that's just really forcing UniSA, I think, to be in a very awkward position, but trying to get a few clears on net, and just nothing is looking threatening.
Yeah, I mean, they have shown that they've got a few options at least, as Mandaria kind of just managed to play that one out with Nosk. It was a bit of a weird, almost double commitment there, but it doesn't matter because Mandaria is just going to run it up. Has the help of Nosk still, as Dura's just been able to play this side of the field really, really nicely. They've got Buddy there for the third play, but let's get too much more off it. Delusion's going to try and make the run solo. Managed to jink it past one, and actually has Mandaria in a very awkward position, so a good setup could get something. Backtrack Jack just doesn't quite get the angle. He's going to have a second attempt, and there it is. Actually, no, it was Backtrack Jack getting that one. Yeah. Is that an awkward bump from the defender? Sorry.
I think it was. Getting a nice bump there just completely threw them off. Backtrack having a lot of faith in the first player there to get that touch. And that's what it is. It's about having confidence. Backtrack Jack cheating so far upfield, knowing that my first player here is really going to get a nice touch, center this mid, hit me on the noggin. And that's just amazing. Player cooks a pinch coming out there, and Delusion not going to get rewarded for that one, and Mandiria will send it on target. Delusion is back, though, to play that out into midfield, and we talk about hitting up players. Trying to hit up Backtrack Jack, couldn't find it, though. Shot on target. But couldn't quite put that one away, and there will be a 50 in the corner.
Yeah, I like this almost solid positional play. Nos just feels like they have more torque in the cards, being able to bully that one out. Doesn't get better of it. 3 seconds left. Tins, we might actually have a first overtime for this series, and it's going to be the first game as well. And Madeira just says, yeah, all right, gauntlet thrown, drop the ball on the ground, starts the second timer, overtime, 2-2. Ooh, it's getting exciting.
Definitely not surprised with how these teams are playing. That we do see in overtime this early is Delusion playing off the backboard. Out in midfield, and all 3 players there, but no one on the offense there to score that one. Backtrack will hit it to the corner. And also get a nice clear, and just playing a little bit... It's like they've lost a little bit of confidence here from this RMIT. They're just playing a little bit further back, making sure they don't overcommit. But sometimes it's forcing a lot of space in the midfield for this UniSA team.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you don't want to concede too much right off the bat, but there it is, just an individual play from Mandaria off the pass. I mean, it was a great setup for Buddy. But, Buddy, I should say. That one's an awkward one. I don't want to pronounce the Y too hard. But Mandaria just picks this up in the perfect position. That little flick in, had Buddy for the setup. I don't know what happened to the defenders there. Were they like...
I was going to say something. I just like passed it over time, but Nosk got a double demo to set up so no one was in net.
Oh.
That is just... I think that's just bullying at that point. How are you going to go out and demo 2 of the defense left, and Mandaria just saying, well, yeah, I guess I got an open net. Red carpet is rolled out, and I'm just going to put this one away.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought the control of that play was very good from Daria. I like, obviously, commendation. It's not just like one of those bronze players where you like demo everyone, you set the ball up, it literally drops in front of your player, and they kind of just like gently flick it over. That was still a solid play, but that's so ridiculous. That's great. I'm sad we don't have because it's actually kind of awkward to run, especially in a game like Rocket League, some sort of instant replay of that of just specifically the demo, because that's huge.
Yeah, the IQ, but then, I don't know if you know, but when you go for the first demo, your car slows down after that first demo. So go in to seek out 2 players in net. That is huge from Nosk, and I gotta say, that it's heads up plays like that that can really throw teams off in overtime, because in overtime, you haven't got the extra time after the goal is scored to then make up for it. Plays like that are so out of the blue, catch a team off guard, you almost don't have the time to fix up that mistake, and if you're not really thinking heads on your toes, you're not going to be able to really recover from that, and really good play there from Nosk. But that being said, RMIT take game 1. We are in game 2 already, 30 seconds down. Shots on target, still couldn't quite find that. And looks like RMIT will run away with the ball.
Yeah, they've been able to hold it. There were 3 players that are clumped in the defense, but they still managed to make it work. But he just gets a demo on Delusion and passes the ball back to their mates. It's quite a high play, but RMIT, I mean, they've not had the possession as much in this so far in the game. I like that first attack, but there it is, the pass across the field up to Backtrack Jack, but just isn't able to do much more with it.
Yeah, and Nosk are going to send it the other way. Maybe even looking to be a bit more physical, as I believe might have been going for a bump there on Morse. Won't quite find it. 2 players back, so easy clear out. And I'm just thinking what is really happening from the side of UniSA, because it isn't how I'm used to seeing them play. And I've got to admit, I think it's all on RMIT. They're just making UniSA awkward, putting them in awkward positions in terms of where they just are on top of each other, or the comms might not be clear. And I think it's a really good strategy from RMIT, and it's definitely something different from what we're used to seeing.
That's actually something I was going to kind of ask you, but we had that great overtime play. Was the fact that, like, we don't normally see, like, player-on-player kind of tagging and stuff like that in Rocket League, but it feels like that's what's happening. It looks much more like your, field hockey kind of game than a traditional game of Rocket League, where it's about kind of controlling that space. It's been really interesting, and yeah, if that comes down to sort of pressure RMIT's putting on, that's a great thing to see, is Delusion gets a demo but can't get his clearance out once again. Double commit up on the play, but it goes off into that defensive corner, so probably not much more coming from it, even though Nosk does set up. Morse kind of gets burned up from that one, and Madeira just picks it.
Rotations and comms is what I think I'm going to put it down to, is just what seems to be they're doing so well. They always know where each other are. When one person's overcommitting for something, the rest kind of adjust accordingly, and it's just so good to see how clean their rotations and how they're playing together are. And I think that is what's going to set them apart. We're really seeing the difference between a team of individuals and a team. Like, it's so good to see a team like this in AEL. I don't actually know specifically how long they've been together, but the way I'm seeing it, it seems like they've been together for all 6 seasons of AEL, and they've just been playing constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to sort of check that one up. I mean, if anyone in our little production group who may be listening, I mean, if they have answers for it, that'd be cool, because I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have the ability to sort of check. But you're right, it feels like they've been playing together for absolute ages. I mean, there has been really good aggressive play from UniSA. They've been able to hold on to this attack for quite a while, but just aren't putting it over the into the back of the net. And we've seen that a few times this season where teams just haven't been able to. But Morse is going to come up for an attempt, get dispossessed by Nosk, and this eventually might be a clear. It took a little while for RMIT to find that clear, but at the end of the day, UniSA not scoring is huge. Backtrack Jack, can you get the demo? Not going to have the angle either.
Yeah, a few missed opportunities. They just can't seem to get the ball in a good scoring position, or at least if they finally do, there's always someone back in net to score it. And Backtrack might have an opportunity here, a bit of 1v1, but no boost to work with, so we'll be forced to play into the corner. And speaking about what you were just talking about, this is where we need ourselves a Formal, because I was casting with Formal last week, for those that saw, and Formal was bringing stuff up from what happened in Season 1, and I was just there like, how do you remember all this? We need Formal. We need some kind of stats man who can just come through and be like, oh yeah, no, this team's been together for exactly 340 days and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just like, oh yeah, this guy played with this team once, but it was, you know, it was technically like a scrim, so like, I don't know if I'd really count it. They did get exactly, you know, like 7-3 in the first game, whatever, yeah, it's ridiculous. That man is just phenomenal with the Rocket League knowledge. Not just the game knowledge, but like the team knowledge as well. And we've got it. We haven't actually seen much in the way of kind of these big scoring plays in the last little while. I guess that plays in the favor of RMIT right now. If you don't want to go 2-0 down in this series for UniSA, you have to find a scoring opportunity. But the midfield control is pretty good right now.
Yeah, and they're not letting up as well, making sure they're cutting in field. They're not rotating or expressing all the way back to their own side to really kind of control the midfield, which is what they are doing really well. As Morse going to try and get something going here in the corner, looking for a center. 2 players up will send the ball in favor of Mandiria here, and an awkward pinch will send that to midfield. Delusion in awkward position, no boost to work with. We'll clear it out in the midfield. Looking to beat out 2 defenders, does really well, and yet again, another RMIT player ready to send it straight back onto the offensive end.
Yeah, that's just kind of been the rhythm of it, and it's hard to get out of that, I guess, but it's just not been happening no matter how you cut it. Delusion just gets dispossessed by Nosk once again, almost potentially another scoring opportunity right there for RMIT. 4 seconds left. I don't know if I see this one being a 1-1 scoreline, but Morse wants to see it happen. No, not gonna be the case. And RMIT 2-0 up early. Like, you don't beat a team like Swinburne and then turn around and not put up a good effort in the next series, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love to see. I love to see the team backing it up as well. I'll be honest, I was very stunned after last week and seeing just how much they came out and dominated that series. And then they're here doing it again against teams that we thought would be in easily grand final contention, and teams that we thought we all wanted the beating lethal side versus Swinburne. That's just a matchup just for fun, I think, that we all want to see. We might be seeing that in the low bracket if RMIT can keep this up. Definitely loving seeing their playstyle and how they're playing, and as they keep this up, they might be the new frontrunners here for the AEL Season 6 Grand Final.
Yeah, taking the name Beating Lethal in just every direction is sort of was like the narrative we came into the game with. But if, you know, who knows what's gonna happen here? It doesn't look so hot for the right at the moment, but there it is. Morse finding a quick goal off the back. And it's, yeah, I mean, opening up in this series got to feel good. I think that RMIT got their opening goal in the last 2 games. I don't know why I'm expecting people to remember things, because this is just a terrible idea, especially when you're like asking casters. Yeah,
well, RMIT actually scored all the opening goals, I believe, in the previous series as well. So maybe it's just what they do. Maybe it's what sets them in that confidence to start out a series. Scoring that opening goal, not getting it this time, as all players kind of had faith in the clear, cheated out of net. Morse, we finally saw the good placement, and that's what they're missing. They're missing those top corners, those sidebars and in, which is what I'd expect from these kind of players, and we're not quite seeing it, so it's good they finally got one on the board. They hit that accuracy that they need, and hopefully they can really bring that through to the rest of the game. As they lose this one, they put themselves in a reverse sweep situation, and the way that RMIT is playing right now, that is not the situation you want to be in.
Oh god, no, that'd be a really, really rough situation. I mean, they're able to kind of... I felt like they had a little bit more control in that last game, even though they weren't scoring. It was like just a really good turtle from RMIT. By the way, if we do have a bit of a break in play here, whenever Mandiria is near the ball, you probably don't. But okay, BK, or Big Cranium, but spelt with a K, as we like to call them. has just informed me that both these teams have been around this season, basically. Like they basically formed in the beginning of this season. Now this is our collective memory, so like we don't don't get angry if we do get this one wrong. But that's ridiculous. Like especially for a team like RMIT who's playing this well together, they've had barely any time really to kind of form this synergy, and they're playing like like you said, lifelong best buds.
Yeah, I want to know what their formula is. I want to know what their schedule is, because I don't understand how a team can be together for only this long, only one season, and come out and play better than team chemistry of teams I've seen play with 4 or 5 seasons. This is absolutely amazing to come out and just know your players that well. That being said, we might see UniSA warming up a little bit as Delusion plays that one high from a pass from Morse, gets one in, taking the 2-0 lead. And that is a different UniSA we're used to seeing. We talk about every single week. I know everyone's tired of hearing it, but the warm-up. Maybe the warm-up's done, we're 2 games in. See if UniSA can turn this one around.
Yeah, and especially like it's got to be extra so if your opponents are just sort of playing on you and not giving you any space. Nosk is kind of playing an interesting style there. I think it maybe even a bit of an adaptation for the defensive UniSA and how they play this, but almost a good turnaround on the aggression, just sort of punishing that potentially slow rotate, but Nosk just gets back for an interesting little breakdance there. Thanks very much. Didn't actually see who the player was. It was Batmobile, so probably could have just figured it out that it was Delusion from that. But yeah, UniSA, they're breaking this attack a little bit better, but still not perfectly. Because backtrack Jack goes up for it and Delusion pushes it out. But yeah, they're holding this 2-0 cushion relatively well right now.
Yeah, and it seems to be just not much has changed except for the fact that UniSA have started hitting their shots. They're hitting up the players, and they're kind of being more of a nuisance on the ball instead of rotating far back. And Nos getting another demo there, trying to be a nuisance himself. Can't put that one away into the top corner. Really nice placement. And yeah, it's just really good to see UniSA starting to play with that bit more confidence, starting to control the midfield a little bit more. And it just seems like RMIT have fallen off a little bit in terms of that midfield pressure. That was the first demo I think we've seen almost this game and what felt like last game as well. So they're just losing that physicality.
Yeah, and if that's what it was giving them, because you kind of suggested that was something that's giving them a bit of an edge. Ooh, that's so close off the sidebar. No one got to put it in. But if that's the advantage, that's rough that they're losing that, because we know how good UniSA are when they're playing their style. We've seen it before. You mentioned they were struggling to find that in the last few games. So, you know, that's something they want to kind of turn on here. They've got control of the mid pitch, and they've got the tempo on it. 1 minute and 16 seconds to get 2 goals. That was almost one right away. I love the fact that RMIT are fighting, but maybe not quite fighting hard enough.
Yeah, and Delusion's just going to take their time here. Will be played into the midfield. Delusion up for it yet again. Shot on target. Nosk will be there to easily play it aside. Awesome missed touch will give Nosk some space, and just those giveaways of possession that we saw right there is what we see a lot in the teams that feel like they're feeling the pressure. Whenever I look at a team and they're throwing away the ball every possession that they get, that just makes that they can't handle the pressure. They feel under the pump and they just need to kind of relax, maybe even calm and just kind of chill out a little bit, control the ball if they want to bring back in the game, because RMIT just not looking that way right now. And I feel like if they're not going to hold up that level of play that we saw in 1 or 2, this is going to go completely in favor of UniSA.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of weird to think that RMIT are up in the game, but momentum is so huge. This one actually off the backboard had some potential, but Delusion wasn't quite there. They are playing, you know, playing a bit more passive. And like, I think the other thing to say about that is it's not just momentum, but also remember that a few of those goals in that first game were just mind games. Delusion slow playing like all hell. And I mean, that's going to confirm the game. I don't think it was a very likely chance that RMIT were going to pull this one back, but that slow play from Delusion absolutely seals it. And yeah, UniSA coming back, looking really good, building the momentum and sort of showing a solid game plan too.
Yeah, and UniSA look very strong. We've seen them play like this in the past. One problem I've always had with UniSA is their shots. They come out and sometimes their shots are just very lackluster, not finding those top corners, which, let's be honest, we're in the... Right now, you're a top 3 team. You're in that upper bracket final, regardless you've made that top 3. You're a top 3 team because of your placement, because you can't just shoot a shot in the middle of net and expect it to go in. You need to disrupt. You need to be physical. You need to aim for those crossbar down top corners. And it's just not what I see from UniSA a lot. And whenever they're not shooting like with that accuracy and focusing on each other and those midfield passes, it's when I've seen them look really bad. And that's what we saw throughout those first and second game. We're not seeing it here in that third game. They were looking a lot better. And hopefully they can keep this going, RMIT, it's all on them. They need to find a way to counteract how UniSA are playing.
Yeah, but I mean, they sort of seemed like they had an answer and slipped off it a bit. But yeah, like, I mean, again, we talked about the fact this team is good. They have answers for the play. They have adaptability. They have the ability to... I mean, I guess UniSA has... We know that they have the ability to go the distance in these long series, so we haven't seen it as tested for RMIT. But we know that, we know that they're a very good team. We know that they've got some of that coordination, some of the demos, things like that. That plays into their favor. I mean, that was a demo, I think, coming in from UniSA. But hey, like, play that style, get aggressive, bait them into it. That was quite well. Area, I don't know if you're going to say if you're going to be able to clear that one backwards, but this pretty slow attack on the goal isn't going to be much from UniSA either.
Yeah, well, it's actually interesting because something just recalled to me there as a almost really good infield pass play found its way in the top corner, but weren't quite yet. And I think RMIT actually did the same thing in their previous series. They won the first two, lost one, then went on to win the next two. So maybe we're just overthinking this, and maybe this is all a part of their grand strategy of how they're going to take this series.
Us is overthinking things. I don't buy it. How many times have we been like, oh, they're feeling the pressure, they're anxious, and the team's actually just like, they're actually just grabbed like, I was going to say something else, but for the purpose of this, keeping this broadcast super family friendly, they all went out, like, they all got ice creams, the coach bought them ice cream, they're playing one-handed for a game, and they come back and they're like, oh, we're good guys, no stress. So, yeah, it could be that. It really could be that. Let's see how have they kind of set up this attack from RMIT? That looked a little bit awkward in the individual plays, but, these hiccups happen in every game, and Daria, once again, was kind of dangerous in the last few. Almost got a ridiculous angle, actually did! Jeez!
I don't think anyone expected Minderia to just shoot that on target. Morse giving away possession into the corner. Can we get a flashback to like 2 games ago where I said if the ball's in the corner, you're not worried if you're on defense? Well, that's not true, and Videria's on the ball, getting that tight angle, putting that one away. Yet again, we see the usual RMIT red getting that first goal. Almost found a second one. Minderia can't quite put that one on target. We'll be there to try and maintain possession. Can't quite do so. 2 players caught on the ball, but unfortunately, no one going to be able to get there in time. Backtrack will shoot high off the backboard. Yet again, no one on it. And just, I think it's a lot of confusion in the midfield where the Delusion didn't think Morse will get back in time, was just delayed to overcommit. So maybe even comms need to pick up a little bit for this UniSA team.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that kind of fits what we were saying as well before with the team play being in the favor of RMIT Red. That was almost another big play from Indaria. Set up well for Buddy. Had a few points of attack, but not quite coming through. Playing the midfield. And yeah, like I say, that does line up with how well RMIT Red coordinate Buddy with a bit of a slower play, but I guess had no pressure on them as, once again, Minderia setting up for a play, but doesn't really have a lot of assistance. Yeah,
and almost doesn't need, forcing 3 players in the midfield, so if they can quickly turn this around, they might find an option here. Minderia doing a really good job playing one-on-one here. Does have a player midfield. Opts to go for the demo. Really good physical play, but Morse knowing better this time, maybe knowing that's what to expect from this team, and that is going to be an own goal there from Minderia. Very unfortunate. Good strength there from Morse, and Minderia just proving that they can score on both sides of the field.
Ooh, I like it. I like the bouncer. I love that replay because you just see Morse just coming up with a smother. It's like when you're, when you get those big reads on the play and you are like 3 seconds ahead of your opponent prepping for them to like mess up. Morse was just so disrespectful in that. Had the smother like a good second or so before Minderia even hit that one. It's a bit rough. But hey, 1-1, it makes the game a little bit closer. RMIT Red need to keep the pressure on, but preferably on the attacking side. Like you said, Morse the good clearance out, stop that double touch coming through. It looked very, very scary from Minderia.
Nosk will be here now to send that into midfield. Shot on target, no one back in. I just feel like they're not respecting RMIT because no one's acting like this is going to be a big deal. Morse is just sitting back post. Delusion backtrack awkwardly rotating into net. And a shot comes out in midfield with 3 players sitting in net. I really feel like the defensive rotations into net, using that back post, front post, even backboard need to be commed more clearer because you can't let one player walk in off a pass play and score on 3 players. But that being said, Delusion makes up for it, gets one straight back on off kickoff. Really good beat up by backtrack.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a decent attempt to get back for the defenders, but I mean, they get that one back quickly. So all the comments you made about defense, they get an extra life, I guess. if you want to put it that way. Like, they get an extra opportunity. They don't have to be as stressed about that messed up save. And it doesn't hit the mental as hard. That's the big thing, too. Right now, it is backtrack, kind of go up for a big aggressive play. Delusion does a good job of kind of picking that one up straight in the middle. Morse, good shot, trying to get a second connection to get a redirect, but it just goes off the post, and Mandaria picks that one up, and now it's Nos trying to run it forward, but has a lot of players to beat out. Gets demoed for the trouble. Actually, no, gets the demo, but backtrack still put it in a very good position. Almost a goal straight off the back of that one.
Yeah, and Delusion looking for a back pass here. Shot on target quite off, but will end out being a backboard. Backboard once, backboard twice. Couldn't get it the third time as a miss will come out in the midfield. Ball finally sent the other way, and UniSA with a really nice offense attack there. Couldn't quite make anything of it though. Backtrack beating out yet another defender. Just kind of giving it away onto net there. Mandaria just flying out of the sky for that one. Clearing it downfield. Morse straight back on target. We're playing a bit of ping pong action. Who's going to do it better though? Morse, as he puts that one away.
I was going to make a joke about how you're talking about UniSA not being able to find the shots. And to be fair, they did drop a lot of them, but Morse gets a very lovely little connection off the backboard there to ping it in. And they tried so hard. They got so many backboard touches off that. If those, if you got like a stat like you do for shots and saves and things like that, just for backboard setups, there would be so many of them right now for UniSA. But the big thing is they're controlling the attack. Nosk right now trying to counterattack though, trying to find some sort of an opening for RMIT Red. Of course, they are one down, and this is just to equalize the series. No stress just yet, but you really don't want to be in that situation where you had the lead and you kind of had to like pull it back from an even scoreline. Delusion comes up, great attempt, but Buddy was there.
Good 50 downfield as well. Delusion trying to go for the demo, bringing out those physical plays as well. Mandaria trying to beat out one less defender. Can't quite. Ball will be played high. Double commit. I feel like both sides are feeling the pressure right now. Feeling a little bit awkward. Backtrack will be able to clear that downfield straight into Mandaria. Plenty of boost to work with. What are we going to see here? Nosk does get the demo. We've seen this plenty of times. Go for the edge of a bump. Couldn't quite make contact with the last defender. And Backtrack will send that downfield. Buddy on that one. 50s over to the corner. And time is winding down. RMIT need to make something happen if they don't want to tie up this series, and they really want to take that 3-1 lead. Last opportunity here is Mandaria flicks out in the midfield. Morse up early. Double commit in net though. If they can keep this up, they might find a goal down the line. Morse too quick for that one and puts it downfield.
That was a bit of a heartache. You could see as the camera was flicking between all the members of RMIT Red, they were slowly running out of boost and slowly finding it harder and harder to contest those aerial plays. And it's a little bit sad, but at the end of the day, it still is a 2-2 scoreline, right? I mean, we talked about UniSA having momentum, but they didn't feel as dominant in that one. I mean, obviously 3-2 scoreline, but it felt like they were on the attack quite a bit, but RMIT sort of had answers. They had attacking plays, but outside of a couple of slip-ups there, I didn't think it was as dominant as UniSA's last game.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, a messy game on both sides, but I do want to say I'm going to give them credit here and say that it was a mid-series adjustment in terms of when you're versing a team that is rotating so well onto those into back posts and into defense, it is really good to, instead of just hitting the ball on target, hitting the ball out of reach, which we saw from those multiple backboard passes. I'm going to call them passes, so I'm going to give UniSA credit. And I really think they're starting to play around the defense to force out as many defenders as possible for eventually the third man or the second player to really come in and make that final shot. So I like to think that that is the adjustment that they've made, and if so, very well played to figure out how to beat such a defensive, almost perfect rotational team.
Yeah, like that's when you put it like that, that's a big compliment. Oh god. There is a demo though from Madeira to Delusion. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's me giving credit. Like, it might have just been, I missed backboard, I missed backboard. I don't know what the comments are like, okay? But I just like to think that we're at that stage where those are the kind of mid-game adjustments that we see.
Oh, I agree. It's just the way it was phrased. It was just like, yeah, managing to beat perfect rotations. It's like, damn. I mean, I think you might be right on that one, but that's incredible. Also, Buddy's save there while we were talking was absolutely ridiculous. Just like the last sort of millisecond to be able to get onto it. And RMIT firing now. They might get one off this, but Nostos doesn't get the connection. But it gets demolished, and that sort of makes the chance a little bit rougher. Quick fire rotate from backtrack. Jack is going to set up yet another players, but he goes up for that contest, but doesn't quite get it. And double commit on the fence yet again. We've had a few of those this series.
We have, but double commits can also sometimes pinch the ball really far at the other side. Look, I feel like I'm just in a happy mood. I'm giving a lot of people credit for double commits and all that. I'm happy to watch this level of play. I think both teams are playing really well. I might have to start being a little bit of a pessimist later on and start, faulting teams for all these mistakes, but for right now, I'm gonna let them slide. I'm just gonna give people the benefit of the doubt. That being said, backtrack, gonna look for an infield pass. Delusion actually going for a demo, and that is a few times that has been very interesting to me in terms of whenever I think of physical plays and whenever I think of going for those demos, it's usually the first player. Once you've made that pass, then you look to go for the demo. UniSA, as Morse puts a really nice one in the corner there, and no one there to save that one.
Yeah, that was just sort of like, that was a really good place for Morse to be. Morse had like parked there. I don't know how much we saw of that, but Morse was just kind of parked there for a good little while and just found the perfect spot. No defender quite trying to catch that one. Honestly, I like the optimism. Oh, that's a bit rough. You know what? I like the optimism. I think it's good. You better compliment than flaming people. These are our top 3 teams. They're good for a reason. Kickoff goals are unfortunate. I think they happen to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And just I want to touch on that player before, just what's going through. I believe Buddy just went to clear that to the corner and was just like, why are you there? That you shouldn't be there. You should be rotating out. Why are you there? I was trying to clear it to the corner. Gets that one on target, and 2-0 lead. We're definitely seeing a different UniSA here as Buddy with a really powerful shot on target. Delusion easily able to save that one to the side. Going for the solo edgeable play here. Gets a pass. One does get bumped for their troubles though, and Nosk will be able to get the save and the clear downfield.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, it was RMIT on the aggression earlier. As actually Nosk is going to set that one back up again. Buddy almost has a perfect play on that one. Delusion sets up with a save. Takes 2 people to get it, but there's just running down the other side of the field. UniSA. Ooh.
We talk about those rotations, and it's hard to rotate when a 50 like that does come your way. It's really hard to expect that, and Delusion is doing a really good job at noticing when it's the perfect time to challenge, winning those 50s. And in all defense, you're going up against a Batmobile. I don't think you can expect to win too many 50s in the midfield.
Yep. I don't know what to add to this one. It feels like UniSA just kind of like, okay, what I'm going to say about this game, and you're right. I mean, it seems like Delusion has just had the ability to find good angles in those 50s, but as well, I mean, RMIT did a good job holding it in, I think, the second game, but to kind of give a point about RMIT's play this game, it felt like they did that. You know what? Let's just throw it out. Oh, this is a very good opportunity. Buddy finds one, and that might be the opening they need. The point I was about to make was just going to be the fact that you know, like the RMIT team came out all guns blazing. They just want to see if they could just ping some quick goals, punish UniSA, put them on the back foot, kind of turn around on them. And when a play like that turns around on you, it turns around in a big way. So they just did need to kind of find a bit of a mental reset and a goal. And as I was trying to make that point, they did. So good job.
Yeah, it's all that kind of mentality in terms of burning yourself out a little bit too early, which it feels like what RMIT did. They came out firing, and then as soon as they came out playing at 100%, as soon as they've dropped to 90%, they kind of get down on themselves saying, why can't we go back to that 100%, which is what we're used to seeing. And it's just, I feel like a bit of a mental game. I think they really need to try and reset, just have some fun with it, with each other. I think that's what they did really well last series as well, is it just seemed like they were having fun. They were all being on the same page and playing as friends more than worrying about playing in, you know, a major AEL University tournament. And I think that's what I need to see from them. We need to see that confidence. We need to see that, you know, we've made it this far. We've, you know, beat all expectations so far. Let's just have fun with it and take it all the way.
Well, they've got good aggression here. I know that UniSA isn't going for those big clearances, but maybe it's the power of friendship fueling them here. But the ball is just, it's like making arcs exactly around the goal. 3 players jump for that one, but there's to quite sort of get the reset up, and UniSA almost got punished for their rotation. It's actually a really good little shepherd from Mandaria as Buddy goes up for another one, and they need that third player to be there, but Mandaria just was a little bit far back. That bounce was a little off the angle they expected.
Yeah, not going to be able to finish that play. You see a triple commit, you want to make sure you punish that one. Not being able to this time as Mandaria. He's going to keep it nice and close. We'll get beat up by Delusion though. He looks for the backboard read as well with the pre-flip. Backtrack Jack can't get that one on target either. Another shot yet again. How many times are we going to see this ball hit the backboard instead of hitting on target? Just feels like that's all UniSA are doing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, to be fair, okay, so RMIT are just doing happy little circles over the goal. UniSA, they're going off the backboard, and I know that UniSA has scored a few times, but we do prefer the ball to go in the goal. Potential here. Backtrack Jack just gets it. Didn't quite have the angle either. It's a good demo, but once again, they just didn't have that sort of angle to find it. I mean, how many attacks right here have RMIT had? In fact, I can press tab and check for you. both sides have actually had a huge number of shots, and there is another one, but that one goes through for Delusion. But you have to overcommit to the on the offense, I feel like, in this sort of half of the game when you're down.
I don't know if I call that overcommitting, but I just love Morse's. Like, I'm just making sure of it. I jumped for it. I was just making sure that definitely found its way to the net. Definitely a bit of stat padding going on. 13 seconds to go. This game was over quite a while ago just because I think RMIT definitely do need that mental reset. They're still playing really well, and they know they can play to this level that even UniSA have kind of brought their play up to where we kind of expect from them. RMIT just need to counter, get back to the way they can play, and get back to playing their game. I think right now, UniSA is really controlling the pace of the game, as well as seem to have all the ball control. RMIT just need to slow it down, play their game, and force UniSA at them rather than playing their game.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's good if you can do it, right? You need kind of that, like you say, you needed a bit of a mental reset. You can't just be sitting there and looking at sort of, there's one thing to say and another thing to do it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? If you're in the dumps a little bit, if you're kind of feeling a bit then it is hard to execute on that. But hopefully we've got that friendship which is able to lift you, because these are the times where you need that camaraderie between players. Because if you're just a bunch of people who play together, it's very easy to get pissed off at each other. But I think if you are friends, if you've built that respect for each other, it's easy to kind of be like, hey, I put faith in my teammates and things like that. So we'll see how we go. But a word or two words specifically, which you said a little while ago, which are very, very dangerous in esports. It starts with a reverse sweep, I think you said. It's not a full reverse sweep, but it's looking like UniSA might have heard that and taken it a little bit literally.
Yeah, maybe. I think they definitely have. And I do want to say, I really like that point you brought up in terms of having another goal other than just focus on solely winning. Because I feel like teams don't last in the long run if your main goal is to win. Because yeah, you do end up getting angry at each other if one player is not performing, or if you feel like you're not performing. It can really take a toll. And that is a great point in terms of teams need to have fun. They need to have that chemistry as friends as well as players, and kind of all want to reach the same goal. So hopefully that is what will bring them over the line. And then on the second point, all I want to say is that that's the reason that we're casters, is because we can say, we know it's a lot harder said than done, but we can sit there and say this is what we think, and you know, we've got to be right because we're the casters. So we're not saying it's easy to do, but we're just saying, yeah, well, you know, you've got to do this. Just go and do it. Yeah,
exactly. I don't hear the players disagreeing with us right now. You know, maybe they'll disagree later, but that's hindsight. That's cheating, you know. But it is actually RMIT with a bit of a break here, buddy, with a bit of a flip. Nosk puts the reposition on, and that's the coordination we talked about. If they can get the rotate, if they can keep the ball in this half, it's gonna look pretty good. Nosk gets a demo and backtrack as well, and yeah, I kind of like that. It feels like they are kind of doing what we asked them to.
Yeah, looking to get on the offensive end. I'm looking to see some more demos and some physical play out of them. I think that's one thing that has been lacking. But on top of that, the few times they have gone for those kind of plays, they're starting to expect it. So maybe trying to expand the horizon that you have as that team play is what we can see going on further in this game. But you haven't got too much time to make those adjustments as hard as they are, because you're on the last leg here. RMIT needs to get this win, force that game 6, then hopefully after that, force the game 7. But it's going to be hard with Delusion firing like he has been the last few games.
Absolutely, and backtrack Jack, great setup off the top. You know, kind of like the top corner there, getting the. It's not. I mean, you know, we generally have a different name for roof goals. I wanted to call that like the, like this. Oh, I actually have forgotten the name of it. A little skirting which goes along top of the wall. That's a great point. Absolutely dropped it. But Nosk is back on the attack, forcing some defensive plays out from backtrack Jack. And it feels like every time these 50s go neutral, it's actually an advantage for the defenders to kind of set up. But I'm happy for you to disagree with me on this one, as Nos gets the ball and tries to put another attack on.
I think you're definitely right there, and losing that midfield pressure as well is... We saw a great infield pass there from Buddy, but no teammate was there to support. Nosk, even right now, expressing really far downfield, needs to control the midfield, because right now, UniSA are controlling that midfield, and I think that's what's bringing them over the line, giving them the space, getting that boost control with the resources, and really starting to fire on all cylinders here. 2.5 minutes to go in this game. Delusion going to look for an infield pass. The backtrack won't quite be able to put that one on target enough, and we'll just keep the pressure going here as RMIT really forcing out these shots. Have a fast break opportunity, quick counter attack, can't quite make that, and you really got to start hitting that as hard as those shots are.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Been a couple of mismechs. Great spot of remorse. No. Delusion gets a little tap little tap say, hey, my goal celebration. You guys like seeing it, right? Oh, sorry, stole the goal. Whoops.
I just want to refer to everyone that just heard me say no. I thought that was an own goal because I'm like, why is Delusion there? I legitimately thought Delusion had just own goal because it just touched his car so awkwardly. And I know many players in the Batmobile who, when they go to try and catch the ball, end up just bouncing off the top of their car. I was so panicked for Delusion there. And so if you, I do apologize if you heard me say no. I was a little bit worried.
That would be the worst thing ever right there for RMIT. It's just like, okay, you know, we're all friends, power of friendship, let's go, we're going to bring it back. And it's not their own goal. Delusion's slow playing a lot though. Delusion likes this little slow play. It's kind of made the ball at a really awkward position. That wasn't quite the pinch, which I'm going to say that RMIT were going for. But they've still kind of loosely got some control in this part of the field. Yeah, see there we are. Mandaria picks it up and gets knocked for their trouble, but they kind of got at least a position on the ball. Never mind, flick over the top, but it doesn't quite get it, and Delusion finds a very nice goal.
Almost a very nice save there, but was a very nice flick in the Batmobile, especially trying to control that. Those people that haven't played in the Batmobile before, just know that if you go to flick that ball when it's on top of your car, it's going to the ceiling. So to be able to control that, put a crossbar down, really nice play there. 3-goal lead. UniSA look like they've turned it around, playing almost unbeatable at this point as Backtrack looking to continue the pressure here out in the midfield. Mandaria will get a nice touchdown field. Morse is there and almost ends up being a really nice pass play. This time RMIT on the quick counter-attack. Ball is played high, a little bit awkward in net, but he goes to beat out one defender. Morse will clear it to the corner.
Love the defensive play here from UniSA as well. It's not just that they're playing on the attack, it's not just they're playing the midfield. They're able to have some really good defensive plays, lock down the field when they've needed to. It's something RMIT did to them in the, I think it was the second game, but they're doing so well themselves. There's a crossbar play, but from the other side this time, it was RMIT doing that one. But he just kind of whiffs that one, but has a nice pirouette to make up for it.
Yeah, I really like the slow plays as well. Is UniSA know they've got the 3-goal lead. They just have to buy time, really force RMIT in a position that they don't want to be in, as Nosk wanted to be in that position, gets a really nice air dribble over one, centers it for Mandaria. They get one on the board, 40 seconds to go. Look, it's doable. I'm going to say it's unlikely at this point, but RMIT definitely giving UniSA a run for their money in this one.
40 seconds, 2 goals. You reckon it's not doable? I mean, kickoff goal here would be absolutely lovely. Let's see if they can do it. I mean, Backtrack does try and stop that one, but he doesn't quite have the position for it. Oh, Mandaria's going up. Mandaria's done so much. It comes off the top. Nos tries to get an awkward touch. Buddy is there too. The positional play was almost perfect. They've still got the attacking pressure right at the moment. Nos coming from the other side of the field. Mandaria not in a great position to support, but 23 seconds going down their timeline. They're starting to run out a little bit, and I think you were right, but it's still just RMIT on the attack, but I don't know. I think we're out of time here. I think you might have been right, especially if Morse gets a big break here. Oh, if Morse scores, that would be so tragic.
I'll be honest, I was scared. I was almost about to bite my own words there, as that set of play was amazing. Good kickoff win. Really nice shot on target from Bade, I believe, or Mandaria, but really nice pass. And then on top of that, to go for the pass play infield instead of shooting on target. You had 2 really good opportunities. I think the defense just outshone that play there, but I really want to give credit to that last ditch effort there from RMIT.
It was so good. It's always a bit weird because you know that UniSA are going to turtle up and play defensively, but you know that RMIT being able to bring out such an interesting attack, having those little bounces and showing that their teamwork and ability to play off each other is so good, and that's what we see from them. I don't know exactly where they're going to go, kind of slot in the lower part of the bracket. I believe that puts them in lower bracket finals, right?
So yeah, they go straight through to the losers finals, as we see here on the screen. So they'll be versing the winner of the losers round 3, but you know, we're still all the way down into losers round 2, so still plenty of games to go before we decide who will be meeting RMIT in that losers final. And I gotta be honest, the way that they're playing there, if they can keep it up, I feel like it didn't do them justice, because how they played in the first 2 games was how they played the entire series against Swinburne. And if they play like that the entire series against whoever they meet in the final, the losers final, I think there's any chance we'll see them here in the grand final. But that being said, UniSA secure the victory. They go through to the grand final. Anyone who meets them there has to go through a bracket reset, I believe, which, if you don't know too much about Rocket League, that is one of the hardest things to pull off. So all credit to UniSA to going undefeated into the grand final.
Yeah, and they've already kind of just sitting there with their name. You know, we talked about how we wanted to see Beating Lethal come up against, come up against Swinburne Black. And I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the grand finals now. So we're building up to that story. But I'm sure RMIT Red, they want that one back. They want to sit down. They want to look at the tapes. They want to see what they did wrong. They're going to have to fight. Again, we mentioned a few big teams. But yeah, UniSA, they're sitting atop the perch. They're just going to get to watch these games, kick back, practice some Rocket League, maybe, scrim some other teams and things like that. But they get to really just sort of look at what they did well. They've got a few games as well to look at what they did wrong to kind of improve on those. But largely it seemed like it was just sort of getting into the tempo of the game and playing against a team they weren't quite ready for.
Yeah, I think they really need... They'll have the time to, obviously, with the bracket reset, but they can't come out as slow as they did in that series there. They need to make sure by that first game they are warmed up and ready to go, because that is a huge difference. Giving up those 2 games, almost giving up the 3rd game there, which would have put them in a reverse sweep, but they were able to turn it around. They did get the win. And I just want to give a last shout out to RMIT, because as I said, they were unknown to me coming in, because this is my first season doing AEL. And it was amazing to watch them play. I love teams that can play with such team chemistry, those infield passes, the communication that... I don't know too much about the communication, but that I believe that they had really outshowed there, and they've proven why they're a top 3 team in AEL.
Absolutely. Just completely, absolutely. Some of those individual plays, take that last 5 seconds. Oh, it was like 30 seconds. Take that last 30 seconds and show it to anyone, and they'll be like, wow, this team's really good, you know? This is a Uni team? Oh, cool. Like, that's amazing. And I hopefully they can show more of us, show more of that, because it's really cool to watch.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, and I just passed it over to you, but any final words you want to say as we do that? That's all of us today. We don't have any more series, just the one. And we will be back with the losers round to see who will be making their way through the losers bracket. But any final words on the tournament? Any final words on that series before we end it for the night?
Actually, on the note we talked about a little bit earlier on the broadcast, we were talking about how these teams are still actually relatively new to kind of playing together, and how amazing it is that they've built up this synergy quite quickly. I love seeing the level raise. I've been with AEL Uni League for a little while, Uni League, Uni Cup, between its various kind of iterations, and seeing how much these teams have stepped up and challenged and become better, and like really phenomenal players like Lethal for Life coming in, and so many others. And the fact that we're seeing kind of amateur high school players, unique players, come in and really contest it against them, and the level of the league is just so different to what it used to be, and it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's really good. Me personally, I love watching a team. As I've said plenty of times, I'll keep saying it, because when they come out with that team chemistry, it's just a thing of beauty to watch. I did love seeing that. And yeah, to find out they've only been together for a season makes me think, what's their training schedule like? Do they hop on and play ranked or scrim every single day to get to that point? Because they must. But that being said, that is all from us tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Do want to give a last shout out to our sponsors, Chatime, AOC monitors, Indomie, Instant Ready Noodles, and Rig headsets. That is all from us today, and we'll see you on Uni with some more playoff Uni action later in the week.